You guys ready for some Barcelona baloney? It's no secret that I like to travel. And whenever I post about it on the socials, one question I inevitably get is, what type of gear did you bring? People assume I take some cymbals, maybe a snare drum, maybe a lucky kick pedal. Nope, nada, niente. Sticks and a drum key, that's it. Part of it is pure laziness, but part of it is also 20 plus years of living and playing in New York, where you learn to make do. And as part of that, I have a bag of tricks. Some of them obvious, some of them less so. To make sure that when I encounter a strange drum kit in the wild, I can make it comfortable to play, and also, usually, sound great within just a few minutes. Because, especially if you're newish to the drums, you may be wondering, how do you feel comfortable on someone else's kit? Or you might spend 10 to 20 minutes changing things little by little until you feel comfortable again. If so, I can help. Stuff like the one thing I can change in a single minute to help a kit go from feeling like literal hell to pretty damn good. These are just my tricks. Not saying anyone else has to adopt these, but I'll spill the beans. Today on 80/20, my top 5 hacks to make any drum kit feel and sound good in just 5 minutes. Stay tuned. And little pun there. Get it? Stay tuned. And dudes, today's video is brought to you by me, the 80/20 drummer. If you're interested in making your setup better and your tuning better, then maybe you'll also be interested in how do you play better. I've got the perfect resource for that. It's a 3 free video mini course, over an hour of brand new exclusive footage. Just click the link below to download that, and on with the show. Okay, know how YouTubers are always like, if you want the best tip, you have to wait till the end of the video. I'm not gonna do that. My number 1 hack for taking a strange kit from, well, what's this to hello old friend, is changing your pedal spring tension. But wait, you might be intoning. Didn't you make a video all about how you don't need to do that and you should be able to play any pedal with any tension? Curses! I told you not to watch any of my other videos, but seriously you guys, there's an explanation. Whatever kick pedal I find on the kit, I just have to play it, I have to make it work. But that's worst case scenario stuff. I'm saying if we want to be comfortable. 98% of the pedals I find in the wild do not have the tension high enough. In fact, here's a little excerpt of a video I made about getting the ideal tension. Are you resting your foot halfway down the foot plate, or is it all the way? If I'm resting my foot all the way up the foot plate, that means the spring is having to do a lot of work to keep the beater out of the head. If I back my foot off to mid-plate, the beater is going to rebound more freely. But you shouldn't have to rely on willpower or discipline to keep your foot from inching forward. If it's doing that despite your best efforts to stay relaxed, it probably just means you're sitting too close to the kick drum. So just inch the throne back or raise the seat until the ball of your foot rests naturally in the center of the foot plate. The third question, if people tell me yes indeed their foot is resting in the center of the foot plate, is this, and get ready. Spring tension. Super easy heuristic. The spring tension should be just high enough that when you rest your foot in the center of the foot plate, the beater should naturally stay like an inch off the head. That should solve the whole ghost echo thing. So with that in mind, when I encounter a kit in the wild, I just take out my trusty drum key, or not even, just my trusty fingers, and adjust the spring until it's comfortable. With some of the new Yamaha pedals, you can also change the rest point of the beater, which also effectively changes the spring tension. And that's where the key comes in. Kit comfort hack the second, seat height. The next thing I adjust in order when I encounter a strange kit is the seat height. You don't have to go nuts. I like to get it high enough that my hips are slightly above my knees. Then I sit back from the kick drum far enough that my knee is forming an obtuse angle, while my foot is resting comfortably in the middle of the foot plate. One thing I hear from students a lot is they're having trouble keeping their foot in the center of the foot plate. I'm here to tell you spring tension, seat height, distance from the kick drum, and position of your foot on the footboard are all interrelated. Recently, I realized I was retracting my foot under my butt when playing the kick pedal. Just by raising the spring tension, my foot automatically started playing farther up the footboard and my knee angle changed. It's probably because my foot has some muscle memory to seek the sweet spot of the pedal, and with the spring too loose, I was retracting my foot to try to get enough resistance. Now that we've made it comfortable to sit and play the kick drum, we want to bring the drums to us, not the other way around. Again, this refers to an ideal situation when you have the luxury of time and space to adjust the kit as you see fit. But assuming you do, the next thing I'll adjust is drum and cymbal height. Seems obvious, right? But here are some shortcuts to make it easier. Before I even sit down, I go to the far side of the kick drum and raise the rack tom if it needs raising. Why? It's usually easier to lower once you're sitting down than to raise. I'll also adjust the cymbals, and same principle. I like to set my cymbals medium high because I feel like having them at shoulder level encourages good posture. It's hard to slump when you have to reach up slightly to play a cymbal. Depending on the kit, I try to set the crash cymbal and ride at roughly the same height, but that's just my personal taste. Here you see me doing something with the ride cymbal boom that I'll explain later. Once that's set, I come back to sit on the throne. I'll adjust the rack tom so that it's high enough to clear the kick drum, and at an angle where I can play it without either contorting my hands or accidentally hitting the rim. If it's a 5-piece, I'll do the same with the second rack tom. Now I'll set the floor tom. I like my floor tom at the same height as the snare, which is to say just below the belt line. Finally, I'll set the snare drum. Often, the previous person will have done something totally cattywampus to the stand. So I'll take the drum off the stand, hopefully without pouring 6 months of stick shavings into my lap. Then I'll adjust the feet of the stand to make space for my feet, make sure the axis of tilt is directly perpendicular to me, and guesstimate the height. Finally, I'll put the drum back, snare throw off facing directly at me. This is another taste thing. Now, the angle I set the drum depends on the height of the rim. If it's a die-cast hoop like a Gretsch, some DWs, some Yamahas, etc., you can angle the drum more toward you and still get a more comfortable rim shot, because the rim is higher. If it's a triple flange hoop like you find on most drums, often the hoop is a little bit shallower, so to preserve a comfortable angle for rim shots, I'll often set the drum a little flatter. Got it? Now imagine we've got the position of the drums pretty well dialed in. The next trick is to make them sound good. Our next pretty obvious drum hack, but with which you'll hopefully save time, is tuning. First, here's a crash course on how I quickly bring a snare drum up to tune. We're gonna do the tappy tappy, a little tappy tap.
Give it a little tappy.
Remember that melody? Ba 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 ba. So what do? If we're going up, first we're going to equalize the down lugs with the high lugs. So ba 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 ba. So this one, give this a turn, give these two a turn. Ba 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 ba. So this one's low. This one's not, these three are. Let's give it another tappy. So ba 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 ba. And by the way, you notice something symmetrical. So ba 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 ba, and then ba ba. So it's the opposite pairs on the head, and that's no accident. Next, here's a video about my favorite way to tune a tom in a short amount of time, especially if it doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm using a turnable drum throne, which allows me to rotate the drum and also have something solid underneath it. And let's do exactly what Rob recommended. I'm going to put pressure on the drum with the palm, and then I'm going to go around the drum and tune each of these lugs until the wrinkles disappear. And then Rob recommends that you do the same thing for the bottom head, so we'll just go ahead and do that.
For heaven's sakes, man, do not overthink this.
Okay, done. According to the video, the drums should sound decent already.
And check this out. I can hear it singing already. Listen to that. Oh yeah. Grab the stick. You know what I'm saying?
Actually, not half bad. Well, we're to our last trick already. And unlike those savvy YouTubers who know how to save the really juicy thing for last, I'm here to tell you my last tip is basically worthless. So worthless that I should probably pay you for the time you'll spend, which I assure you, you'll never get back. But before we get there, I do have one YouTuber trick up my sleeve, and it's an open loop. You guys, if you want to support the channel, you can do it by supporting yourself. Who doesn't want to get better in the next 3 weeks than you've gotten in the previous 6 months for free? If you're wondering what'll do that for you, it's a little thing called my 3-video mini course. Just click the link below the player to download that. Got it? Okay, our fifth and final hack is The boom cymbal stand trick. Let me explain. Rather than having the boom facing directly away from me like a handshake, I like it almost perpendicular to me, like a cross street. The advantage there is that you can use the rotational angle of the boom to control the angle of the cymbal, rather than the little hinge just below the lug, which 150% of the time is shitty. So I'll set up the feet to the right of the kit, then angle the boom across the kit from left to right as you'd face the kit from the audience. Then use the boom rotation to adjust the angle. One final thing, you don't need the feet hella wide, but it does help to align one of the feet with where the boom is facing. And pro tip, the more you extend the boom, the wider you need to make the feet, which means you're not necessarily saving much space. I try to keep the feet moderately narrow and the boom closer in, space permitting. So guys, hope you enjoyed that one. Farewell from lovely Barcelona here, and just a reminder, I release new videos every Thursday morning at 7:15 a.m. Eastern Time. If you want to see the next one, you'll want to make sure you're subscribed and you hit the old bell notification. Dude, it's been real, always enjoy these. See you again real soon in another Lesson of the Week.